Hey folks, this is Mickey G. Wishing all of you had a safe and happy Labor Day weekend. And speaking of labor, does hard work always guarantee success in life? Well, me and Rodney talk about how there's a lot of other factors that can influence how successful your life may be. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
And they damn sure do that. They look at the climate, see how the wind's blowing before they introduce their manipulative things that they want to do. And people just sit idly by, man. And I'm like, can't y'all see this? It don't take that much reasoning to figure this crap out when you're sitting there looking at it. But you won't take the time, but you'll take the time to go to the bingo hall and do all that. You can listen to this stuff and then get up just like them brothers over there on the east side when they had this MAPS program where they're redeveloping the downtown and the historically black district. Well, they done basically took all that, and then they have these planning meetings. I remember this. What was this guy's name? I used to listen to it in my office all the time. Oh, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And he was here, and the brother was kept telling him, listen, you people need to come to the planning meetings. This is what they're trying to do. Nobody went, hell, they went in there and bought up all that land. They probably did eminent domain. Got all that land. Now they done redeveloped it. They got all these condos down there in Bricktown that the black folks that used to be there can't even go. They can't even afford to drive down the street.
Yep.
And now we were down there the other day when Rosin had to go and get her little thing, and we rolled through down there. Boy, they got some stuff down there. Some apartments and condominiums and stuff. You don't even they don't advertise. That's just for them. And they got all that stuff down there and took the black thing down there. Used to have a Charlie Christian festival down there. It's all white now. You got Bricktown down there. You got everything that's been the MAPS program. They got a yacht club down there on the river. They had the Olympic when they kayaking and pulling when they got the team on there and doing the oars all in sequence there, and they got all kind of stuff going on. Then rumor has it that they're gonna get rid of this black neighborhood over there because it's right on the river, and they're gonna build like riverfront condos and all of this other kind of stuff. All this is a part of MAPS. It's been going on for about 10 years. I remember Jesse Jackson on that said, y'all need to come in there. Now the heart of downtown, 23rd and Martin Luther King, they done put up them fancy street lights. They got redone the roads. Got the what do you call it? The horse-drawn buggies running down there. They done put in them cars like in San Francisco. I'm like, they finna run y'all out more here. We're gonna run y'all. OU down there and built a big old hospital, children's hospital. They got 2 hotels down there for them guests to come in with doctors and stuff. They got condominiums for the people that are in whatever phase of their getting their medical degree in. And man, it looks altogether different. And they pushing them brothers and sisters out from over there, because half of them don't own it. They renting.
Right.
So they pushing them all the way back. The heart of the east side was 23rd and Martin Luther King. They predict by 2030, the hub is going to be Northeast 50th and Martin Luther King. They moving them out, bro. They moving them out. When I used to go to work, so I had to go down through there on my way to work. I call them the scouts. You see the white dudes riding down there with their bike helmets on and the 10-speed. They just riding through all that neighborhood. I said, they taking pictures. They just sent the scouts out, and I'll be damned, boy. They developing all of that. But we sit idly by. When they first started infringing on the east side, oh, they was calling into the radio station. What are they doing? They can't do that. And blah, 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 blah. I remember Jesse Jackson coming on. I've tried to get you people to come down here and voice your opinion. It might not have done no good, but at least you could have been there, and fought against it. But now y'all up in arms. It's too late now. It's rolling.
Well, that to me has just been sort of the history of a lot, especially like bigger cities, that had issues with urbanization and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And it seems like when it comes to the Black community, we're always trailing versus being out front. Just like, when the downtown areas, when all the affluent white people moved to the suburbs, left the Black folks down in the urban areas with nothing. So what did they decide to do? Well, let's move to the suburbs. So
Yep.
when the Blacks and other minority groups started moving to the suburbs, what did the white people do? They moved back downtown.
Yes, sir.
And all of a sudden, the properties that downtown that was, the $100,000 homes that these Black folks left and other minorities left, the white folks moved back downtown, and those homes became $600,000 homes.
Yes, sir.
That's what happened in D.C. when we were up there in D.C. They built that stadium, the new stadium over there on the Anacostia River. That was predominantly Black.
Yeah.
They went in there, they brought up all that land, they built the stadium, they built all these shopping malls, they built all these boutiques and things around it. Those people who lived over there on the Anacostia couldn't go over there and buy a soda now.
Yeah.
Just like you said, well, let's go over there and live.
Well, exactly.
But that's just,
that's a carbon copy, because these folks over here that they took their stuff on the east side over here, and they had those nice older homes that were roomy. It wasn't no little things, but they went in and before they did it, they devalued the property.
Right.
And then so that they could say, when they wanted to buy those people out before they did eminent domain or whatnot, well, we offered them 150% higher than the house was valued at. That's because you devalued it. You devalued it so that you say, well, I offered them, and you're giving them peanuts. They couldn't take that and go put it into another house. And man, they took that property over there. Now, ain't no telling what it's worth over there. They put the museum, the Oklahoma History Museum over there. They got all kind of new stuff over there.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said that. I don't mean to cut you off, but me and the guy that founded our museum here, we went to the Association of African American Museums. They had their conference this year in Nashville. End of July, I guess the last week of July, they had a conference. I met the lady that I think is either the curator or the director of that museum.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in one of the seminars together. And of course, when you in their seminar, they want you to stand up and tell your name and what museum or whatever you represent. And she got up and she was talking about that, and she was talking about, because we were in that seminar at this time, about how you apply for these federal grants to help you and stuff. And she was talking about that. And then right after that, I got to talk to her, and I was saying that I said one of my best friends lives out in Oklahoma City and stuff. And I was asking, I thought that museum was, I don't know why, was down there where the mural building that got bombed or whatever. She would say, no, this is a whole separate museum and everything. I just want to tell you that I talked to her about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
if it's the same woman, she offered me a job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We were in a class together, and she was it was for certification to be a purchasing officer for the state of Oklahoma.
Okay.
And she was the director. Matter of fact, she said she was from Falk, Arkansas. That's not too far from my hometown. And and brothers don't want to be caught down there at sundown kind of deal back in the day. But anyway, we got to talking, and she said, "Yeah, I just came to this class because I got a couple of people that are CPOs, and I wanted to know what what their job entail." I said, "Oh yeah, that's always good for a supervisor to know that, And so we got to talking, and so in class, you know, I try to be quiet when I'm in there, but somehow I start talking. So, I started talking, and me and the instructor got to talking about some things. And part of what it was is they had adopted the purchasing rules and adapted them a little bit to fit the state. But we had done that out at Tinker for years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was well versed in it, and so we were talking. And then she was sitting at my table, and she's like, so she started talking to me about this. So I told her where I was from. She goes, well, I'm from Falk. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know where you from. And, the minute any black person down where I live here, Falk, it's like, oh, Lord, them some. So anyway, we just kept talking. And then she was like, well, where do you work? I said, well, I told her, yeah, I work at the courts. And she was like, would you be interested in moving? She said, I'd really like to have you on my team. And I was like, well, what kind of money are you paying? And then it didn't add up to what I was already making. I was like, well, I'll keep that in mind. Not long, but I'll keep it in mind. And but yeah, if it's the same woman, it might be a different one now, because this was several years ago.
Right.
But yeah, sure enough, because they had just finished it. They got a nice little cafeteria over there. They got a lot of brothers and sisters back there throwing down in there. We used to go over there for lunch quite a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just like I say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought about that,
No.
And you know how I am. If I don't say something right at that moment, I may have to think about it again. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. But yeah, man, that was a few years ago. Well, she was all talking to him and stuff. I was like, man, I'm thinking to myself, if your money had been a little better, I might have come over there.
Yeah. It was interesting to be at this conference, and even though museums and things are sort of their own small niche when it comes to things like that and all, but it was interesting to listen to the conversations in the seminars on how most of these museums still have to manipulate the system because there's not a lot of us in the system,
right,
and how that they had to go before city councils and all that kind of stuff, and justify why they needed money for, especially when they were Black themed museums and things of that nature, and they were from all over, especially some down in the deep South, and they're talking about the issues that they had to go through to try to overcome those racist attitudes of people. When you're saying about we want to do a Black museum or something, or like we was talking before, taking a Black school or a Black business, and making it a historical building and things of that nature, and you, as you mentioned earlier, those things are still very much prominent today. Very much prominent today. The kind of things that we had to go through years ago to get some things for our communities and stuff. Yeah, a lot of that ain't changed.
Oh no. Man, this is, I've come to the conclusion, well, it didn't take no hell of a thought about it, is no matter what we do as Black people in this country, we are a commodity for the so-called majority community to exploit. And what made me think about it was I was listening to this guy on television talking about he had been to prison You know, he was doing something good now, but he had been to prison and this and that and this and that. And I'm like, that's why, you know, these cops profile, because they use, this is modern day slavery. They use especially black men, but also black women to fill these prisons because they make money off of them. And then they use that slave labor for, the military used to buy all their furniture from prison industries and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and do all of this, and then these unscrupulous ass wardens are farming them out to these farmers who are making money selling their products and getting kickbacks. But we're always a commodity to be used. You look at college football, you look at pro football, it's all, yeah, you're successful, but you're not as successful as they are.
Mm-hmm.
We are to be capitalized on. That's why I have a problem with that word. Oh, I'm a capitalist. You don't even know what the hell you're saying, because they're using us for every damn thing. You look at labor. I mean, granted, there's a number of white people in there, but they're poor too. That's why, I can't understand why they be voting for these damn Republicans. But you go into Walmart, man, there's just a bunch of people in there trying to make it. That really, if you thought about it, they're happy to have a job, but there ain't no future in that shit. Especially when they got you working 37 hours a week, so you ain't considered full time to get any kind of benefits or retirement. And then I was looking at I read this report about how Biden is trying to protect Social Security because from what they're trying to do, and it's just pathetic, man. On the one hand, they want to talk about, well, we need to make Social Security solvent, but on the other hand, you keep us without jobs. Then you select your top tier of people not to pay payroll tax, which funds that. Ain't no jobs. You got Walmart kicking back money to you to keep them jobs where they ain't full-time employees, so there ain't no payroll tax there. And you wonder why Social Security, not only that, the government takes money whenever they need it. They don't tell us about it. They go into them 12 midnight hours and take money from Social Security and everywhere else to do whatever they're doing. And then you get on television and tell that bold-faced lie about, well, it's just not solvent. It's a joke, man. This whole shit is a Ponzi scheme. And the average person just ain't hip to it.
Yeah. I think one thing that I'll say about what you just said is it's not only the white elitists who do that. I think black elitists, primarily ones in either sports or business in general, I think we become very easy prey for them too.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I just look at things like, Jordans and, these other name brand, black type of business or companies, things of that nature. Seem like, black people will spend their last dime to buy a pair of Jordan, but don't know where the next meal's coming from.
Sure.
I mean, I think sometimes it's almost like the mindset of, well, if you let yourself be used, I'm gonna use you, kind of thing.
Well,
and if even after all these years, you got to get past that point. You almost have to start saying, well, what's in it for me? If I go out and buy your shoes, what's in it for me? And your boy sort of tried to do that himself. What was the one that played ball that had his brand of shoes at one time that were really, cheap and stuff.
Shaq did that.
No, Spreewell. Was it Spreewell?
Yeah.
That had those shoes at one time. He was trying to make them cheap and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go nowhere. So yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes we almost have a double whammy. You know, it's almost like, you're those bottom feeders and neither side cares what they dump in there because you're gonna be down there bottom feeding.
Oh yeah.
It's just, we just, it just seems
Well,
like we just have a hard time getting ourselves up to the point to where we can say, well, no, we ain't easy picking. If you want our money and if you want things, you're gonna have to show us something too. But we, most part, hadn't got to that point yet.
well, no, and economically, they're not going to allow us to get there because you pick the Jordans and the few people who get to that elite level, uh, they they are happy to be there, and then they've assimilated and they're happy
Mm-hmm.
and they're content, and then the whole thing is about greed and making more money,
That's right.
and then you look at, no matter what, on every level for us, we suffer from Stockholm syndrome. We empathize with the people that's got their thumb on our scale.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, there's a reason why there ain't but one black owner in all those numbers of sports teams, because you can be controlled, because they can collude. Look at what they did to Kanye West. He thought he was invincible. That's why there's no more than one or two of us, and if it's two, that's a happy day. But for the most part, it's one of us. I mean, we ain't got no owner. Only closest thing that black got an owner to in the NFL is that Khan out there at Carolina, and he's Middle Eastern.
Right.
But
Right.
there's a reason why because being an owner, you make a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
You make a lot of money, but they ain't gonna let you. They'll allow you so far, and then it's like, no, we ain't gonna let you come in here and take over. So we're gonna keep you. You got one. And when I was telling some friends at home when we were down there, I said, I just kind of laugh at it, because what else can you do? I said, every time you got a few people that have done well, and more power to them, but they started believing the articles, well, I'm the blah, the blee, the blah. You still go ask that white man. He just gave you a little extra cash for
And a title.
and a title for in the interest of equity and inclusion, but you ain't making no decision, and you the only one there. You can't help but assimilate to what they're talking about because you ain't got nobody to feed off of. That's why they make sure you only get one, and it's just the system is so entrenched like it is. It's by design. Like I told them, I said, hey, who do you think? The United States was the biggest contributor to South Africa. They know what they're doing. How else? South Africa had them black people over there fooled for the longest time that they were minorities. We ain't no minority, but we think we are. The policies and procedures that go down say that we are, but we ain't no minority. We're just minority in thought. It's well, I'm at home now. It's you beating your head over.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is. And I think it's one of those things that, people like you and I hopefully I do to some point realize that too, that you can't change the world.
Right.
And it gets very frustrating when you try to do your little part to change a little piece of it. And sometimes the people that you're looking to try to change that for are the same ones who are trying to bring you down.
Yeah.
It gets very frustrating when you get in those kind of situations, but you ain't got to sort of fight one enemy, I guess some people call it, but there's two out there, and one of them is the one you're trying to hopefully help.
Yeah.
So it makes it very frustrating when you do that, and those are the same people who, because you have done well and you're able not to have to be under that thumb to a certain degree. I mean, a certain degree we all are,
Right.
but I mean,
Right.
you ain't got to be under it as much as most. And they're the ones that talk about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he think he's up else. You know, he drives an Escalade. He got this
Yeah.
nice home. You know, blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking, okay, and you're the same people that you would think would be saying, hey, brother did good. You know, went out, had a military career, did this, did that. He's able to afford those kind of things. I'm proud of what you've done. You don't get many of those.
Hell no. If you do, it's from your peers, somebody who did the same thing.
Same thing. And yeah. That's about where it comes from, you know.
Yeah.
So it almost becomes that typical, no win kind of situation because of, you're going to have to fight battles on both ends,
Yeah. But it's a classic case of Stockholm syndrome, man. You start empathizing with your oppressor more than you do your own people.
Yeah.
So I that's how I look at it now. I think one of the most frustrating things was, as I got older, start realizing that all that optimism that I had and believing that things can change, when I came to the realization it ain't changing, it was just frustration.
Yeah.
And then the negativity came in. I used to despise people with a negative attitude when they wasn't really trying to do nothing, but when you thought you was trying to do something, I didn't want to hear that. But now I done got to the point, I've been here 60-something years, ain't changed. It ain't gonna change. Not in my lifetime.
Yeah, I've sort of come to that conclusion too. We've had a number of years in our time here for things to change, and
Yeah.
I just don't see a whole lot changing either. I mean, I think people have made strides, and that old philosophy of every generation should do better and improve upon the previous generation. That concept can hold true. I mean, I think in some cases, we might have gone backwards,
Yes, sir.
instead of going forward. So, I'm the same way. I just think as long as you can look in the mirror and say, well, you did your part to try to improve, things. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all you can do.
I see it in my boy's face sometimes when I get on one of my little rants. And, I can see them kind of wince a little bit because they still have that optimism. And I'm not trying to dampen it, but I want to lighten the load for them for when that realization comes in, So I just do it lightly and then shut my mouth, because if you don't have some hope, I guess it's futile. I guess that's when people end up in prison doing all other kind of things. So I don't want to dash that at all, but do the best that you can do and get the most that you can get and then call it a day.
Yeah. I think that's about the most you can expect, because I think when you start putting, your values and what you think is the right thing or where someone should be in their life and things on other people, it starts to get, once again, it starts to get frustrating because everybody ain't going to be what you think or where you think they should be.
That's
and at some point, you just got to say, hey, talk to them, like you say, told them to be weary of things that maybe they're not, privy to or understanding at this point, and then say, okay, I did my part.
Yep.
Now you're going to have to live your life, and, hopefully you make those good decisions and things turn out well. I think that's, sort of the point that, me and Marion has gotten to, too. The girls have done well, and we've been very much blessed as a family. But at some point you realize that you've done your part. Now it's time for you to enjoy your life, and hopefully those who come on after you will have a good life too. That's really, I think, what you look for in life when you look at yourself in the mirror.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The disappointing part, though, is there's so much more potential that's been held back from you, not at no fault of yours, but just the way this system is,
Yeah.
Like I told that guy that came pick up my lawnmower. He was like, "Oh man, you got a nice place out here." I said, "Well, thank you. Yeah, I like it." He started talking about some other stuff. So I just finally told him, I said, "Look, if my complexion was like yours, this would be much more grander." Yeah. He looked at me like I had shot him. I said, "Yeah, that's just the truth of the matter, man. You know, uh, 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 I ain't, uh, I ain't saying every black person has been held back, but there's a significant amount of us that have been for what we know and for the things that we've done." I said, "So now, if you think this is nice, you need to. If my complexion was like yours, it'd be much nicer. You'd have been driving down a dirt road to get here about 10 minutes."
Yeah, we were doing a little bit of philosophizing in this edition, but we hope you enjoyed it. Please join us next time for the next edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.